to say. It's nothing but headache. I mean, everybody needs to get together and work as a group here. I mean, what are we going to do, push this off to the following month, and then the following month it's going to be pushed off again? I mean, we have work coming up with this project. We have future growth with this project.
I didn't suggest pushing it off at all. I suggested that to be fiscally responsible, we need to know the value.
We know
you
the value.
spend it, if you sell your home, you get an appraisal. Then you know the value.
Sure, but with my home, if I'm losing money on my home, and I know I got a guy that's willing to take it off my hands so that it don't hurt me any further, I may take a little loss on my home, but it's clean out of my hands and it's a fresh start to where I can start rebuilding myself and move forward. You're not going to make money with everything you do. Some things you're going to have to take a little bit of a loss. I mean, it's just how it works.
This is over an $8 million loss, sir.
I understand what it is.
It's not a little loss.
Yeah. It's not a little loss, but you got to look at the project that's going to go along with it. I mean, we're going to develop the property next door.
Wait 3 minutes.
Yeah, that was the idea,
3 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes is
So,
up. 3
with the
minutes.
loss,
3 minutes.
I need all talking is ceased except the person recognized by the chair. Take your conversation outside. Are you done?
yes, I'm done, thank you.
One question here. And I think you mentioned it. I thought we had some indication of what the appraisal was just maybe 6 months ago.
Madam Chair, I know that the gentleman either still here or still in this study session. He was required, the bank required getting an appraisal for him to get financing. The bank did the did the appraisal, he didn't request anything else. He had a copy, and he had made it available, and he made himself available for any council member at that point in time the sale went through, if it was going through at that point, to come in and look at. The bank had asked him not to make it public, it was their appraisal for his financing, not theirs. Reference again to Mr. Silver's comments as the attorney, you are getting a better appraisal at that. We know that that appraisal was at 4.85 for real property.
4.85.
And another 550 or 515 or something like that for personal property.
And the sale price in this purchase agreement is?
5.4.
Okay.
No.
Just want to have that clear. Yes.
Eric Hall. What is so hard about getting an appraisal? I mean, is it hard to get one?
Well,
18 days ago, they asked for one.
yeah, the buyer would normally get one with financing, and like we said, there had previously been like 6 months.
But we're losing $8 million here. How much does it cost for an appraisal?
Thank you.
How much does it cost?
Well, probably between 10 and 20 for a full business appraisal, and we aren't ever going to get a full business appraisal because we don't have 3 to 4 years of accurate data related to the business side. So you're only going to appraise the property and the bricks and mortar that are there. Per, I think, the request of the councilman based on what charter requirements are, the assessing department has given their, certified assessment based on value. I forward that over and get whether.
What was that? Do you
That was
remember?
5 million.
5 million, okay.
So would you sell your house for 1/3 of what's worth?
I just think the people all over the city have done that, unfortunately.
Would you sell your house
Because
for
that's what the
1/3
market was indicating.
Would you sell your house for Yeah.
First of all, let me be clear here, what's being discussed is the debt on the bond, the total bond amount for that development. And what I think the object here would be, and it seems like it's been discussed for years, for selling the Sports Plex, is that once it goes to private sector, now they pay taxes to the city. And that goes back into Cityof for more development. That's the beauty of that. And then an additional development on what has been an empty lot for probably 13 years and blight is more revenue that would go into Cityof or more development dollars to be captured. And that's the beauty of that, not to mention the asset that it brings to that corridor.
I understand the tax base,
We had a number like $4 million possibly
Between 250,
a year.
And also is,
Madam Chair, just if I could add to that, they're talking revenue that only if the motel or hotel is built does that revenue come in.
No, Madam Chair, that's not correct. That's only related to the sports complex.
Well, you're talking about just the sports plex, or you're talking about the project?
well, I was
Just
just
say your name for the record, please.
Kathy Tron Taylor. I was referencing the existing building, Dennis, but
Okay.
that is also an additional question. But that would be a projection, I'm assuming. And also, is there any way to satisfy all the council people that you put together like an analysis of real estate that's been happening lately? For instance, 2 years ago, the Renox got building downtown sold for $5 million. And so that sounds like a good offer.
So our assessor's office had put together, they contacted several similar types of properties, larger, some smaller, in other states even, and looked at what's out there that's for sale, and they emailed us that information, and kind of like as comparables, is what you say, comparables. So,
Yeah, and that could satisfy the council as far as looking at some comparable things. Because I'm reading the articles about the Renox that it only sold for $5 million 2 years ago, right? So if we could do maybe some sort of real estate analysis, try to move this forward.
Madam Chair, we did based on, again, when the media play building came up and the councilman had requested that based on, that was a charter requirement. We had asked the assessing department to move forward at that point on both buildings. That was provided at the study session prior to the last meeting. The council requested the data that was in there, and the email was sent out the very following day. Fortunately, it was, I think it's unless you sent the city emails and not personal issues, emails, and so, like I said, everybody doesn't check those, it was sitting there. So, I mean, that, all that information was provided, and that's what we count on, and I'm assuming that's what our, smart forefathers that drafted that charter decided to incorporate that into, so that somebody did some evaluation on prior to sale of property. Thank Councilman for pointing that out, and we'll make sure that we move forward if there's anything else out there that needs to be done on assessment. But, this is we will continue to talk about this. Very difficult building to try to compare because there's not too many two sheets of ice, 2 soccer fields, plus the atrium type things to go on. It's not a professional sports arena, so it's limited on incoming revenue related to events and those things. So, and the fact that for a decade, we don't really have any good financial data to base the business side of an full appraisal off of. We're only at bricks and mortar. So, that's kind of where we are. And what we know is, it's operable, it can operate through there. What we have concerns are the, long-term requirements for maintenance and upkeep, because that's been pretty historical for the city to not take depreciation costs into account and keep going year to year on the property it builds. That doesn't generate tax revenue through golf courses and sports plex and whatnot. I mean, it's all revenue that's only operating the business itself. It's not it's not being it's not additional benefit to the city and money coming in to supplement that in any way. And in most cases, for the last decade, it really hasn't even covered itself until more recently. So.
Thank you. Yeah, sure.
Brenda?
And again, I just want to point out to a couple of points that the TIFA money is for economic development, and this is economic development, and it's right in our corridor, in our main corridor of our city, and everyone along Telegraph and throughout the city would benefit from this, and I think that's exactly what TIFA dollars are for, to stimulate economic development. And this is economic development, often criticized for not stimulating economic development and bringing things forward or completing things. This is economic development at its best. So, and we really should consider this and not let it slip by. It's a great thing for our city.
Yeah, 10.
Yeah.
The sale of the Sports Plex with the added acreage of 14 acres, you think that any major hotel chain that you're expecting to build, that you're expecting in